let's get started. I want to thank you all for being here this morning. My name is Elizabeth Aloni, and I'm with Schneps Media. We're the largest local media source. We have over 70 publications across Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Westchester, Long Island, and Manhattan. We have print, digital, email blasting, as well as these webinars. So we reach quite a number of individuals, and we also look to be able to bring valuable information to all of our readers in our community. And that's what we're doing here today with this informative webinar called Life Insurance for the Living. I'm thrilled to introduce our illustrious speakers. First, let me tell you a little bit about the organization that they're with. It's Integrated Financial Concepts, which is an independent financial planning firm that offers a wide variety of financial services. They're a cause-driven company that focuses on objective financial solutions and holistic financial architecture in order to offer each client a unique, realistic, and dependable financial portfolio. Very important. So I'd like to introduce first to you Mr. Peter Lichtenberg. With over 25 years experience in finance and as a private business owner, Peter recently joined Integrated Financial Concepts. His primary goal is to help people improve their financial balance and confidence as well. Peter specializes in working predominantly with business owners and successful professionals, offering unique tax strategies, defined benefits, pension plans, business succession planning solutions, and buy-sell agreements. He creates a personal financial blueprint, which serves as your GPS to help achieve your personal and financial goals. With deliberation and precision, Peter focuses on vulnerabilities as much as opportunities in order to offer clients the protection they deserve. In conjunction with his team of trusted professionals, Peter serves as your personal CFO financial concierge. Over the years, he's developed promising relationships with industry leaders that allows him the opportunity to offer his clients first-class service and ideas to empower their financial freedom. Peter earned his BS in Finance from Lehigh University, his MBA in Finance from Fordham University, and holds his Series 7, 63, and 65 investment registrations. He resides in Atlantic Beach, New York with his wife. Welcome, Peter Lichtenberg. Is that Atlantic Beach behind you, Peter?
I wish that was Atlantic Beach.
I was like, wow, Atlantic Beach is looking fabulous. Welcome.
Thank you.
I also want to introduce to you H.J. Roman. He's a financial literacy advocate who specializes in retirement planning and portfolio protection management, including advanced life insurance planning, objective annuity strategies, wealth management, 401k plans, and long-term care protection. He is the founding member of theobjectiveroom.com and works strategically with a team of CFPs, CPAs, wealth management specialists, and attorneys in order to provide his clients with valuable and impactful financial solutions. With a cause-driven motivation, Jay is actively and passionately creating social awareness around the importance of financial literacy and objective financial planning. He's been partnered with Integrated Financial Concepts and Equity Services, Inc. for 7 years and appreciates the opportunity to offer his clients the open architecture of a wide variety of financial solutions to empower and protect their goals and needs. His primary focus in business is developing organic relationships that are built around the team's core values and commitments, which are objectivity, education, transparency, resourcefulness, and loyalty. Jay Roman is also a dedicated husband and proud father, a true golf enthusiast, and has a deep passion for music and all forms of artistic expression. His personal mission and commitment is to educate and protect the innocent and promote a financially free lifestyle in today's society. Wow. So as you can see, I'm very thrilled to welcome these two experts. They are true professionals from a business and personal perspective, and want to get things started off with a 2-minute video. So enjoy this video. Jay is going to start a video for you.
Just need access to the screen share.
You should have that. automatically. Try that now.
There we go.
Awesome.
I started losing movement in my hands and legs. I went from a cane to a walker to a wheelchair. We did not know what it was. I was assured that I may have at best 2 to 3 years. You know, for most American families, as they go through a health episode, at times it's not just the health, it's everything else as well that comes with it. And we were basically fighting different battles on about 3 different fronts. My faith, our faith, is central to everything that we do. If through faith we could make it through this, I knew that there was a larger meaning, a larger purpose. The financial benefit let me focus on healing and recovery and not having to worry about losing my home, kids being kicked out of college while I go out and get the care that I needed. Every adult needs to have a life insurance policy. A good life insurance. And just not any policy. One with all the riders that we were able to take advantage of. It made us feel good to know that National Life was there for us when we were at our lowest. Because let's be honest, the odds were against me in terms of being able to actually rebound from this. And I just needed to know that the family would be okay. So where am I now? I do a lot of physical training and I'm getting stronger and stronger every day. I happen to serve as the executive director of a health association. We're celebrating recovery, but I will say it has been a tremendous journey of faith for us. There's such power in love. I believe that us really going through this type of event has brought us closer together. I would not trade it for anything in the world.
Wow, that is definitely a powerful video. And certainly something for people to think about, that, you know, the insured can actually be the beneficiary of their own life insurance policy.
Welcome to today's webcast presented by Northwestern.
Not at all. So Peter, what are living benefits in life insurance?
That's a great question, Elizabeth. I'll take that one. So living benefits allow the insured 3 options. And typically most people think that they have to die to provide the benefits from their policy. In the case here of living benefits, you can have your death benefit advanced if a person is diagnosed with a terminal illness with up to 24 months left to live. If a person has a critical illness, something as heart attack, stroke, cancer, brain tumor, Lou Gehrig's disease, COVID, they can have a portion of their death benefit advanced tax-free based on the severity of that illness. The third version is called chronic illness, which many people identify with long-term care. So if an individual cannot do 2 out of 6 activities of daily living, meaning they basically need someone to assist them with manual labor to help them transfer out of their bed, get dressed, shower, cook. The death benefit, again, up to $135,000 a year, the IRS limit, can be advanced up to the tune of almost $2 million. Wow. So those are 3 examples of how a person has not passed away, but they've been able to optimize the value of their life insurance policy.
Wow. So being ill, you can still access this money to help you. How long has this been available?
Well, I'd say with some companies, portions of that have been around for at least 12 years. And so for some other companies, it may be even longer.
Most companies in the industry have been offering terminal illness for quite some time now. So it's not surprising if most people have a terminal illness rider of some sort on their life insurance. And to Peter's point, that's 12 to 24 months left to live. But there are people that have been diagnosed with terminal illnesses that live another 10 or 15 years. As for critical and chronic illness, that's something that's become a little bit more relevant over the last 10 to 12 years. And not every company offers it, and not every company offers it as robustly. But just to kind of highlight on some of what Peter was explaining there, I'll just share screen one more time and let the audience take a look at this. Here is a breakdown of living benefits from a company called National Life Group. And what they define as a chronic illness is the inability to perform 2 out of 6 daily acts of living, which are bathing, continence, dressing, eating, toileting, and transferring. And then they also acknowledge 13 different critical illnesses. And this varies from company to company, but critical illnesses are, again, ALS, aortic graft surgery, aplastic anemia, blindness, cancer, cystic fibrosis, end stages of renal failure, heart attack, heart valve replacement. You have stroke, sudden cardiac arrest, motor neuron disease. And in some situations, these companies also offer critical injury, which would include coma, paralysis, severe burns, and traumatic brain injury. So that's pretty much a general breakdown of what living benefits are specifically, and they're offered variously from all companies.
You know, Jay, that's a great point you just made there about critical injury. So how many firefighters out there would love to know that they could have a life insurance policy that in the event that they got burned on the job, that they could have that death benefit advanced? Or take it another way, how about all these former professional football players and athletes who have all these brain injuries today, concussion syndromes, things like that, knowing that they have this policy in place and they could advance that death benefit, because many of these people at age 65 or 70, they're mentally incapacitated. They need someone to help them. They're not able to manage their normal life. So, you know, typically, and the importance here, I like to say, is many of these type of life events drain someone's balance sheet. So I always look at these policies as what I would call a balance sheet protection strategy for whether it be an individual or for business owners. These type of events just suck the life out of someone's finances. So having these policies prevent that.
You certainly hear about many people being destroyed by healthcare bills, that, you know, when they have someone in there, if they get sick, and how expensive it is to be able to get well again, has destroyed many a person's financial stability. So it sounds
bankruptcy in our country right now are critical and chronic illnesses, typically chronic illnesses where you end up in a nursing home. A lot of people aren't prepared for that.
Wow. So you said it's available for 12 years or so.
Absolutely.
Can someone add this to their current policy if they already have a policy?
Typically, you cannot just add the benefit to your current policy. I will be honest, there are some companies that do have opportunities. If, let's say, you had a policy that you took out within 5 years prior to the company offering living benefits, they are willing to go back and re-underwrite you, not for the death benefit, but to see if you qualify to add the living benefits. So there's a rare occasion that some people can just add it to their policies, but 90% of the time it's not that simple. It does require, you know, what our recommendation is, as long as it fits the client's need, is if you're still insurable, you can transition into a new life insurance policy, maintain the same value of death benefit, maintain the same cash value that you've accumulated through what's called a 1035 exchange, and also keep your premium payment in the neighborhood of where you were paying, maybe even less, and just have a new policy with living benefits. So it's not so much a detriment as long as it's done the right way.
Okay, so if I don't have it and it's something that I want, it would be obviously on a case-by-case basis. You have to sit down and take a look. What do I have? What do I need? What's the right company for me?
Right.
And I can then transfer my insurance and be able to include this benefit, you know, working to determine what is the right one to select.
Right. We would look at the policy and see, you know, is this a company that is already offering the living benefits? How long have you had that policy for? So we can see, you know, explore that first opportunity of maybe just adding it to your policy. And then once we determine whether that's available or not, provided that it's not, then we can look at the companies that do offer living benefits and see, which would be most favorable from an underwriting standpoint, and then also from the benefits that they offer.
Well, Peter, let me ask you this. I have health insurance. Is this something that I really need?
Again, great question. I don't think anyone needs life insurance, but would you want to have life insurance? So I think it's a case-by-case scenario, case-by-case situation where everyone's finances are different, everyone's personal background is different, and everyone's goals are very different. So I always say you can have what I would call an optimal life or a suboptimal life. So the way I look at it is if someone who has life insurance has a much greater level of financial confidence because they know under all different types of circumstances, they'll be okay. So to me, they have more of an optimal financial life. A person without life insurance is leaving themselves exposed to a lot of liability, exposure financially, emotionally, personally. And I just think that's a suboptimal life, but that's just a matter of my opinion.
And I support that theory. I mean, theoretically, what is it, 15 to 25,000 to bury somebody? And sadly, not sadly, fortunately nowadays we have GoFundMe options and things like that. I say sadly though because I've experienced it, within my own friends and family where they just weren't prepared. And the process of going through a GoFundMe can be humbling as much as it is appreciated. So theoretically, no, you don't need the life insurance. But when you look at the statistics of long-term care protection, 1 out of every 2 adults will be diagnosed with a chronic illness and 2 out of every 3 with a critical illness. Those are illnesses that are going to cost you north of $100,000. And unless you have that money sitting away, already taxed and liquid and just really there specifically for that reason, your whole life becomes disoriented. And now trying to rehabilitate financially as well as physically, mentally, and emotionally becomes a great challenge. And so on that premise, I do believe that the living benefits are things that we should really look to implement the same way we do our car insurance and our cell phone insurance. We should think about what happens if we have a heart attack, a stroke, or end up in a nursing home.
I think, Elizabeth, really the benefit is that it creates a personal environment of financial freedom and independence. It gives having insurance puts a person in a place of making choices that if they don't have the insurance, they can't make those choices. So would you like that freedom?
Look, this is a very unique time, obviously, as we're going through this pandemic. And I think it certainly drives home the point that we don't know what we don't know. And although we may think, oh, I'll never get this type of critical illness, I'll never have a situation like that. I think, this pandemic has shown us that you don't know what's around the corner. And if you can protect yourself and your family, you can have a much greater peace of mind. So, thinking about where we are now, is COVID considered a critical illness in this type of benefit?
COVID is not a critical illness. However, as we know with this virus, it amplifies pre-existing conditions. And I think even the virus on its own is severe enough that it could create or definitely push towards a critical illness. And that has happened. People that have respiratory issues or high level diabetes, things like that, COVID has not only influenced those illnesses to actually become fatal, outcomes for these people, but it's also caused others to develop a critical and even a chronic illness from just going in with that, the preliminary COVID symptoms. So, I'll share another piece with you. There's a company, this same company that we shared the video with has been kind of relieving a lot of their clients. Here we go. Relieving a lot of their clients of some of that stress with this piece right here. And here we are. It's new to this whole share screen thing, so pardon me. But breathe easier, you have living benefits. And, coronavirus is having a dramatic impact on our lives, businesses, and overall sense of security. You can breathe easier knowing you have life insurance that also protects you while you are living. we have been a pioneer in the life insurance industry, offering living benefits on all of our policies. So if for whatever reason this coronavirus did create a critical or chronic illness, well, now you have an opportunity to leverage your life insurance to pay for some household expenses, adult daycare, home modifications, regular bills, nursing home care, quality of life expenses and such. And the list goes on, because not to mention, if you're coming out of the hospital with coronavirus and you have a critical or chronic illness, or if you've been there for a long time and you don't, I know people right now with $25,000 and $30,000 hospital bills that are not being covered by their health insurance, and they didn't get diagnosed with a critical or chronic illness. So when a critical or chronic illness comes into play, it creates a much more expensive hospital bill that, becomes difficult to resolve.
I understand. So again, thinking about this COVID time, is it harder to get life insurance now with all of these illnesses happening?
Peter, you want to take this one?
Well, I don't think it's, thanks, Jay. I don't think it's harder to get. It's a little bit more challenging because they do a thorough background check as they did in the past. But no, life insurance today are very eager. If you fit a good profile, it's not a problem. It's very easy. Some of the companies today, what they've done is put in place what they call easy underwriting programs. So the easy underwriting programs mean up to $3 million. You don't need to have any fluids. You don't need to have a medical exam, no blood, no urine. You don't have to have a stranger come to your home and ask you questions and invite anybody into your home. It could all be done electronically today, online, access to answer a few questions, access to Medical Insurance Bureau, and within 48 hours, you can have an approval and you can have a policy delivered probably in 72 hours, and you've never left your home and never shaken hands with anybody.
That's great, because that was something I was thinking about. How do they keep it safe? Because from my perspective, my memory is they always need to send someone to your home, and you need to give blood, and right. So that really, you feel more comfortable knowing that those protocols are in place.
Absolutely. And for us as advisors, this is similar to what happened in 2008 with the real estate bubble, where you noticed a lot of financial companies were either, bought out or kind of went out of business, and others rose a little higher to the top. We're learning too that with a lot of these life insurance companies, you get to see the financial strength and solvency behind these companies at times like this, because there are some companies that are making it more difficult to get life insurance. They're lowering the amount of coverage that's available for people, or they're still requiring blood and urine, or they're increasing the cost of insurance. And a lot of that is a testament to, how the business balance sheet that company relies on is performing during a time like this. To Peter's point, a lot of the companies that we choose to do business with are very reputable and really standing out at a time like this. So their cost of insurance are not increasing. They're offering easy underwriting with no blood, no urine. Applications are being approved anywhere from 24 hours to 2 weeks, when typically it takes anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months sometimes to get an approval on a life insurance policy. So some companies are a little stronger than others at times like this. It's one of the benefits being with our agency. We're very objective, we're very resourceful, and we're licensed with 95 different companies, and they're all big players in the industry. So we get an opportunity to really, have the pick of the litter, if you will, and see who's out there, showing the strongest suit.
I like that, because it's not really a one-size-fits-all model, because, I feel that when you're thinking about life insurance and this living benefit, how do I know what's the best company? And, I don't want to be, because I choose to work with Dave, let's say, because Dave has a certain relationship with a particular insurance company, I don't want to feel that I have to go with that insurance company. So the fact that you and Peter work with multiple different companies, makes me feel more comfortable to know that I can find something that's right for me, not just what's right for the person I'm doing business with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And we have to follow some New York State regulations called the best interest rule. And everything we do, we're highly regulated by the New York State Insurance Department and by FINRA. And all of the financial recommendations, we have to be able to validate and back up as being in the client's best interest at all times. So there's a lot of scrutiny on that. What I wanted just to throw back for a second is that when we were talking about living benefits, Many people often think that you have to have a permanent life insurance policy, which could be whole life, which is a policy which lasts your whole life, or it could be a universal life policy, which can last your whole life. But in our conversation today, I do want the audience to know that we also provide the same features, whether it be permanent life or term. So if you can have term policies today that provide all of these critical illness and terminal illness and chronic illness riders as well.
Okay, that's good to know. So when you get, so let's get into the money. Let's get into the benefits. So when you get the benefit, when you get the money from your life insurance policy, when you have a critical illness, does that money have to be used strictly for illness? You know, like with an education fund, the money has to go to education. Right. Is that the way this is as well?
It's a great question. And when it comes to living benefits, no, it does not need to be used specifically for your illness. It's a tax-free benefit that you can use however you like. So whether you need to catch up with bills, pay medical expenses, or you want to take your family on a vacation because the stress of these conditions has just become so overwhelming, that's totally up to you. It's not like you said, you know, or like a true long-term care policy, if you will, where with true long-term care, that money does need to be used specifically for your illness. So with living benefits, you're just pre-accelerating your death benefit, and you have the option to do what you would like with that, with those funds.
Wow. Does it need to be paid back?
Another great question, and it does not.
Oh.
In fact, if it's all right, I'll share a quick story. We have a client in our agency back in 2018. He was 41 years old, and he had a life-threatening heart attack. He called us, I want to say about 2 or 3 months after his recovery, and he was worried that if the life insurance, you know, if he passed away from a heart condition, maybe it won't pay out because he had already had a heart attack. He wanted to make sure the life insurance wouldn't be altered, which was, you know, bizarre to me because most people, I'm like, you know, the policy can still pay out, but he's a very diligent guy. It was tough to get him to even take this policy because he wasn't a big believer in the life insurance feature to begin with. When he called us, we reminded him that it doesn't only not affect your policy, you have a benefit that you can use right now. If you'd like, he says, well, what do I have to do? We've described, you know, have your doctor fill out an attending physician statement describing the severity and all the procedures. The company will review it and determine whether or not, according to their guidelines, if it's severe, life-threatening, moderate, or so forth. His ended up being life-threatening. He had a $1.5 million term life insurance policy, and the company sent him a check within 60 days of receiving his physician statement for $1 million tax-free.
Wow.
That was what he requested. He requested the maximum amount available, so they sent him that check for $1 million tax-free. Now, this was after everything happened. He did go and pay off some of the expenses. If I'm not mistaken, he had 2 stents put in. And from there, he was left with a little south of $900,000 that we distributed throughout his wealth management account, savings, and so forth. He did not have to put it back. He had the option to. By not putting it back, his death benefit reduced from from 1.5 million to 350,000. So by not putting it back, he loses X amount of death benefit. But we remind him that as long as he maintains good health in 3 or 4 years, you'll be insurable again. And the odds are that we'll probably do very well managing this money for you. You might not have $1 million in your possession ever again, you know, for all we know. So that's a long-winded answer to your question, but I always feel like a live story is a great testament. And this is one of the better ones that we're able to share over the years.
Absolutely. I mean, it gives you the options that, again, what we kind of talked about, it's not one size fits all. Everybody has their own situation and they can use that money as they need be. And, you know, I think also the benefit of working with a team like yours is that you can help make that decision. Because again, you know, I'm not the financial expert. I'm not the life insurance expert. I'm not the insurance, you know, living life insurance while living expert. You are. And so, you know, it's good to be able to turn to professionals to be able to let me know. Sorry. Yeah.
So on that point, what Jay was saying, so I have another story. It was not as nice, where a client became chronically ill because of severe stroke, and he didn't have the finances to take care of himself. And he had a different type of policy that he had bought from an agent prior to meeting us. And he had a $2 million death benefit, and we actually did what's called a viatical settlement. and we actually sold his policy in the open market, and he ended up with $200,000. So he probably paid in over $200,000 to his policy over the years, and that's all he was able to get out of it. So these new hybrid living benefit policies that we're talking about today really maximize a client's opportunity to get a high rate of return on their investment.
Do all companies offer this?
No, there's about 900 plus life insurance companies in the country. I would venture to say 20 of them are offering a form of living benefits. And then there's another 25 that are offering a form of a true long-term care rider. So a lot of these companies are transitioning into a world where they realize not only the opportunity they can offer people, but the responsibility that they can take on for our economic system, since a lot of people just can't afford when this kind of stuff happens. So some companies are a little more traditional, and they'll offer a true long-term care rider. That comes at an additional cost, and we are licensed with some of those companies. We work with them also. Just for the sake of this particular presentation, we wanted to focus more on the one that is a little more robust. And the reason for that is because with the living benefits, there's no additional charge, and you also get the critical illness rider, where with the long-term care rider, you're only covered if you go into a nursing home or require the hospice to come to you. So there are probably, between 35 and 40 companies that are offering long-term care protection. In the living benefits world, no more than 20 at this point. And some of them are really graduating quickly to more robust benefits. One of the reasons we're sharing a lot of the National Life material today is because apples to apples, their lineup is the strongest. They offer the largest amount. It's the least expensive in comparison to premiums with other companies that are offering living benefits. And they're the only company that'll offer it on term insurance. And why that's important is because, if we go with the lowest costing term out there, William Penn and Principal, and 10 years later, you do get a chronic illness and you want to convert that term into a permanent policy. Now you're converting a policy with no living benefits, and you won't qualify for the living benefits going forward. With National Life, they're the only company that offers it on term, which is remarkable because they really separate themselves from the industry that way. Because now every term that they put out there is just so competitive because you can convert this at any time. And a lot of people are either unable to afford permanent insurance in the earlier years or a little reluctant to commit to it in the earlier years. And so they want to start with term, get their feet wet, and then, dive into a better policy. So National Life kind of put themselves in a league of their own where they said, if you want a long-term policy with living benefits and you want to start at the term game, you're going to probably be better off doing it with us because we're the only company. So it's offered on all types of insurance, provided that you go with particular companies. Outside of National Life, though, it's only whole life and universal.
So it's important to know that this exists, that you can make sure that this is something that's part of your insurance plan.
Right.
I don't know if there are any business owners on the phone or CPAs on the call, but I've had a lot of success in this marketplace, having been a business owner, where just using these simple term policies with these living benefit riders, whether it be for buy-sell planning, whether it be for key man planning, have really been an inexpensive way to help a business owner protect their balance sheets against all these type of events.
Okay. So let me ask you this, now that we have you two experts here and have your undivided attention, what is a secret that you share with your family and friends about this type of benefit and about life insurance and life insurance for the living?
Go ahead, Jay.
I'll go in. So I'm
Wants
very
to share the secret.
I'm very passionate about this stuff. Full transparency, my father passed away very young. So when I came into this business, I was the last person that you would ever want to talk to about life insurance because I didn't believe in it. I didn't understand it. Ignorance, I'll use the word boldly because I was ignorant to it back then. When I took the time to learn about it and I understood the mechanics and the purpose of it, that's when I said, all right, this is important because I think a lot of people think the way I previously thought, where it was like, please, I don't want to talk about this right now. When I learned about living benefits, that was even more monumental. And it was happening at a time when relatives and closer friends of mine were dealing with critical and chronic illnesses. And I couldn't help but think, nobody knows about any of this stuff. So, my greatest, the one secret I share with everybody in this industry, our friends and family prior to this COVID situation is make sure you're not paying for a car with 3 wheels. If you have a life insurance policy, make sure you have some living benefits on there, because that's probably more important than the death benefit itself. Now, during this time though, I have to say, I found somewhat of a silver lining in this really, challenging place that we're all in right now. And it's kind of going back to what you said earlier, as far as coming into this coronavirus, we lived in a very untouchable era where everybody that you would meet on the street, you have a conversation with them, something like living benefits comes up. Oh, that's not going to happen to me. Or, oh, I don't have to worry about that. Or, oh, if that happens, I already told my wife to pull the plug. And these are the comments you get. And it's like, well, that's not a realistic scenario, because she's not going to. And I don't care how many times you told her to do it. Now, so being untouchable in a world where 1 out of 2 people are going to be diagnosed with a chronic illness, or 2 out of 3 are getting diagnosed with critical illnesses, and this is happening to people in their 20s and 30s, I had found it in me to appreciate this solitude and this downtime, because we all have an opportunity to really reevaluate our priorities, and we can see now that we are not untouchable. And if Corona, my greatest piece of advice to most people right now is, if Corona was cured tomorrow, we never heard the word again, there are still several other illnesses that are twice as detrimental, and the statistics hold far greater strength and holdover that we're not prepared for. So this is a good time to start realizing that we should plan for those things too, especially because the truth is Corona won't be gone tomorrow. So that being said, and we know that it amplifies pre-existing illnesses, how do we get ahead of protecting ourselves from that now? And I think this is, the one benefit we've all had is an opportunity to sit back and reevaluate our lives in a lot of areas. And I won't get too deep or personal there, because I'm not a psychologist or a doctor by any means, but from a financial standpoint, that's just as important, because everything we do costs money. So that's my one, greatest piece of advice in a time like this is, let's look at all of the other vulnerabilities out there, because there are several.
It's a very good point. I think, one of the, in this horrible situation of coronavirus, one of the things is that it's put a spotlight on the importance of peace of mind, protecting ourselves, protecting our families, and that, we sometimes think we're invulnerable, and, recognizing that nobody's invulnerable. And although sometimes it's hard to think about the worst case scenario, once you do and you put those things in place, you can kind of rest easy.
Yeah. Before my daughter was born, I was untouchable. I didn't go to the doctor or nothing. When my daughter was born, I was I became a hypochondriac. I always have something's wrong with me. I got to go see the doctor again. I became fearful. So I think certain things trigger that mentality. And, if it didn't hit you coming into this situation, I feel like a lot of people probably are feeling it now.
So Elizabeth, you ask about the secret. So I'll just basically say, I'm in this business almost 18 years. I'm on the planet 64 years. I've been a son, a husband, a father, business owner, business partner. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've seen very affluent people who everyone thinks on the outside are perfect go through life-altering events that it's not. I've seen more people with life-altering events than I have with anybody pass away, and have a problem. So it's all these different, life happens. It happens to everybody. No one goes unscathed. I would just say that a person who has taken the time to become educated, and that's what we pride ourselves on, is being educators and talking about financial literacy, helping the public understand the strategies and the concepts that are available to them. A person who has availed themselves of those type of services has a much higher rate of return on the quality of their life, because they know when that financial tsunami hits, or that health tsunami hits, or for whatever reason, they will be okay. They know ahead of time because they've taken and implemented a good plan of action ahead of time, as opposed to those who haven't done it. They're just like looking over their shoulder. I'm okay today, but what about tomorrow? Is tomorrow going to catch me today? So which way would you choose to live your life? And that's where we come in, helping people understand and identify the opportunities and how they can capitalize on them.
Yeah, it certainly can help with anxiety that is there, and sometimes you don't even realize was there. So we have a bunch of questions from the attendees. May I ask some of those questions of you?
Sure.
Wonderful. So some of these we did answer. How do they apply? So I did share both of your email addresses in the chat. But if you want to share, is there a website they should go to? Is there an email address they can go to find out more about applying for this type of benefit?
Your best bet would be to probably contact either of us directly, just so that we could walk you through the process. Navigating to the websites and things like that, sometimes you don't get as much of the content behind the decision-making process that we'll offer you, but you could feel free to give either of us a call or send us an email, and we can definitely give you, the information on how to apply and things like that. Application process is very simple, and we do them just like this, actually, over Zoom, so.
Perfect. So I did put in the group chat, but Jay's email address is hjroman@nlgroupmail.com. And Peter's is Lichtenberg, Lichtenberg _Peter at nlgroupmail.com. And also there will be a thank you email that goes out, and we'll have their contact information there as well. So you can contact them and find out more about what's the best policy for you and how you can move forward with it. Another question.
I included my direct contact in there too, so if anybody wants to call directly, there's a number there for you as well.
Perfect. So someone was asking, what parts of the policies are there, for example, whole life, term, disabilities?
I saw that question. I was a little kind of confused to specifically asked, but I'm sorry.
I mean, I think, can the life insurance benefit also, obviously you said we could use it for whole life and term.
Right.
What about with disabilities, any of those types of, like, if you have that type of insurance as well, I guess perhaps, like long-term care, can you have this in addition?
Oh, absolutely. And depending on what type of disability packages they're referring to, I mean, we have people that have long-term care insurance and have also implemented living benefits. And the reason for that typically is because they've had the long-term care policy for a while. It would be silly to stop paying into it after spending all of the money that you have, because you're not going to get a refund on your premium. Now, then they ask, well, then why would I need living benefits? Well, long-term care insurance does not cover you for an isolated incident. So if you have a heart attack, or you're diagnosed with cancer, or you have a stroke, the stents, the bypass surgery, the chemo, the radiation, and so on and so forth is not covered by long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance only pays a daily benefit when you are in a nursing home or have someone coming to your home because you cannot perform 2 out of 6 daily acts of living. So,
and that has to be ongoing for 90 days, typically consecutive.
Correct.
They'd have 90 consecutive days before that would kick in.
Correct. And then there's short-term disability, which is a completely different monster or beast in itself, because it's only covering you for the time that you're unable to work. With short-term disability, or if you're unable to work, it'll cover you up until you're 65 years old and so on and so forth. But it's not specifically for heart attack, stroke, cancer, Alzheimer's, ALS, or again, a chronic illness. So they're all different. And for anybody that has policies like that, we can easily review them. We have experts on the team, and we are also very efficient in the world of disability insurance, both short-term and long-term. So a lot of people do blend them all. Some people try to be more cost-effective and might drop one coverage for another. And that's all dependent on, your own financial goals, needs, and opportunities.
And those are some of the questions you would ask. Like if I call and I want to have a consultation, those are some of the things that we would discuss would be, what are my goals? Where am I financially? What are my concerns? And then you would be able to offer ideas on which would be the right way to go.
Right. Our client experience is over the course of 2 to 3 or 4 appointments sometimes. There's a getting to know you factor. We don't often like to kiss on the first date, if you will. So no business is going to happen in that first phone call, but a lot of questions are going to be answered and asked and so on and so forth. There's no way for us to make a recommendation without knowing more about you. I mean, anytime, if you've ever walked into a doctor's office and sat down and the doctor looked at you and was just, you know what, you need, give me,
two aspirin and a Band-Aid.
That's it. This is what you need. Take this for 3 days. And doc, I didn't even tell you what's wrong with me yet. You're obviously going to leave and go get a second opinion. So we ask a lot of questions because that's how we can tailor plans and recommendations to you. And further to that, it's an educational process. We're not sales driven, and that's the most sincere thing I could say. People look at me like I'm crazy. I'm not really here to sell you. Business transpires, it transpires. The goal is to educate you. People are a lot smarter than they're given credit for, us included. And I think salesmen a lot of times overlook that, and they don't give individuals an opportunity to be educated and make empowering decisions. So our goal is to just provide you the information.
Can you review someone's current policy? So if they have a policy, could they bring it to you and you review it and see if there needs to be adjustments or changes?
Absolutely. We do auditing of insurance policies for clients and for many accounting firms and trust and estates attorneys. We're often brought in to be the experts and to analyze them and tell them what they do have and what they don't have. So
we have someone here who sadly is saying that they're worried and living with high anxiety because a marriage destroyed their finances, and they have 2 young minor children, one who's disabled. Is this someone that you can help too in terms of where she fits in the life insurance and living benefits? And is this someone also that can be helped by you? And
I think and particularly for that first step of at least some clarity, we could absolutely provide some clarity, some information, maybe some solutions that might not be accomplished in the short term, but certainly something that over time could be accomplished. When I hear a lot of the details that are shared there, there's so many variables that are going to come into play. So, the word help becomes somewhat of a relative term, but I think the first steps are always important. So, that first step to change is, again, the most important one. So then that would come with us just having a conversation, and, we could gladly put some time aside to at least offer you some peace of mind with your current situation and some hope for opportunities and solutions in the future as time goes on.
That's wonderful. We also have a question about on the other side, and you were saying about big business and large companies, but someone was asking, do wealthy people need life insurance?
So let me take that one and just say, absolutely. Again, I shouldn't say they absolutely. No one, again, needs it. However, there are many strategies around why an affluent person would want to have life insurance. It might be for estate taxation purposes. It might be because they want to have a tax-free retirement. You typically, for affluent people, it might be more about estate equalization. So maybe they have several children and they want them all to have the same amount. They want them to have more. There are a lot of different reasons. So just because someone's affluent doesn't mean they have it all figured out.
A gentleman named Mark Zuckerberg wrote the largest life insurance policy, I think, in life insurance history, if I'm not mistaken. Or somebody actually just outdid him last year. But Mark Zuckerberg, I think 2 or 3 years ago, took out a very large life insurance policy. There's a lot of content behind why he did that. And to Peter's point, there's some tax advantage strategies that were available for him in doing it. And so, he was one of the ones to kind of say, yeah, I mean, wealthy and affluent individuals should
Warren Buffett, as an investor, is a very, very big believer in life insurance companies, in their companies' portfolios, because they are companies that are risk averse, and they have to deliver what is called a promise-based asset. So they are taking people's premiums in, and they have contractual obligations to make sure that they pay those policyholders at the time of need. So there's, it's not the sexiest products in the world, but they're the most stable, and they are probably the basis for a great financial foundation.
And for really wealthy individuals, they're great hedging strategies because you get really strong guarantees, like Peter said. So when you have a very diverse and volatile portfolio, it's nice to know that 30 years from now, I can put a number on what's going to be in this basket here. And we're going to hope for the best in this basket here. And 9 times out of 10, this basket's always going to outperform, but it's good to know that here, we just already have an expectation and a guarantee on what that number is going to be 30 years from now. And life insurance actually offers that opportunity.
So that's a great question. And I know we're pressed for time, but just like in 2008, if I was a retiree and I had a pension account and I was about to retire and my $1 million account all of a sudden in 2008 dropped to 600,000 overnight, 40%. What am I going to do? How am I going to live my retirement? But if that same person had had a permanent life insurance policy in place at that time, they'd have the ability to live off of their permanent life insurance policy and use the cash values at that time to help subsidize their other strategy. So there are a lot of reasons why, whether to have those type of products. And one of the things I wanted to say is that life insurance companies typically are not correlated to the equity stock markets. So when the stock market is going down and doom and gloom, usually insurance companies are just being stable and keep rising.
Well, you've certainly showed us that life insurance is more than just you die and you get paid. Your family gets money, that there's an opportunity for you to be living and still be able to enjoy the benefit of your life insurance and be able to use that in a multitude of ways that we deem is necessary, not what a company deems as necessary. And that, you know, dealing with the two of you and working with the two of you can help to determine what is the best strategy for individuals when one wants to look at life insurance for the many different aspects and benefits it can provide.
I'm seeing another question. I just noticed where some of these questions are. Actually, I'm joining.
Yeah, so there's one. Why don't we take one more question, if that's okay with you?
Yeah,
the question here is, what is the cap for living benefits for worst case scenario critical illness? Is there a per life cap, a per year cap?
Varies per state, actually. So with critical illness, they're not going to pay out more than $1 million, no matter what. Actually, here in New York State, but that varies from state to state. And for chronic illness, it's 1.2 million, and there's $140,000 limit per year. So let's say you have $1 million policy and you have chronic illness rider on it. You're only going to be able to take out up to 140,000, and that's a round number. It varies from company to company, but some of that's
it's actually $135,000.
135. Thank you.
But that's not a stipulation from the life insurance company. That's from the
IRS,
because Internal Revenue Service. So by restricting it to $135,000 a year right now, this year in 2020, it retains itself and the ability to be all tax-free. But when you start changing the character of the life insurance product to like an investment product, the benefits become taxable. So it's restricted to $135,000 a year on chronic illness. But that serves you well because people don't just have a chronic illness for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. They can go on for 6, 7, or 8 years. So knowing that you can have $135,000 a year tax-free for 7 or 8 years, 9 years is a big bonus. And what it really does is it protects the rest of your retirement account, because it's not just about you with the chronic illness. It's really about having a plan that protects your family. So you could have a healthy spouse who's going to go live another 20, 25, or 30 years. If you don't have a plan or something in place, you're really being selfish, because it's going to take away from their opportunity to live the quality of life that they want. And if there are kids involved, it's going to impact the kids.
Well, thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time. I do want to share with everyone that Jay and Peter are offering a free consultation to anyone here who wants to reach out. We did put in the chat function their contact information, but you'll also get it via email. And they will also reach out to you and be able to give you the link to this webinar. So you'll be able to have that and also be able to give you some additional information. But I very much want to thank our illustrious guests. We certainly could never have learned all of this without them. Peter Lichtenberg and Jay Roman, I thank you both very much for educating us on life insurance for the living. I know that I learned a lot today, and I'm very appreciative and really thinking about insurance in a whole different way. So thank you so much. Thank you to all the attendees for joining us and spending your morning with us. And I hope that you found this beneficial and take advantage of these incredible resources and some time just to talk to them and see what is the right policy and what might be the right steps for you to take. Thank you so much. Please, everyone, stay safe.
Yes.
Stay healthy.
Yes, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and protect yourself. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.